Hey everyone, this is Chris here, and today is July 26, 2022, and in this video, we're going to be discussing what killed the one-handed backhand in tennis. Now, before we get into this topic, I'd like to encourage you guys, if you are new to this channel, to please take a minute to hit the subscribe button down below. That'll keep you notified of any time we release additional content like this, and of course, if you enjoy videos like this, then please be sure to share this video with your friends. All right, guys, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay guys, so before we get into today's topic, I'd like to send out a quick reminder that we do have a new blog available. It's over at www.chilltennis.substack.com. The purpose of this blog is to provide you guys with some additional details and information on the topics that we cover on this channel, and basically just stuff that I don't really have the time to cover in these videos. So if you want a really good resource for learning more about the history of the game, I'd highly encourage you to check out this new blog. And now we'll go ahead and jump into today's topic, which is the death of the one-handed backhand. So this is a really interesting topic that's going to tie in a lot with the previous video that we did on what killed serving and volleying. The reason that this shot was used basically was because most players, well, pretty much everybody back then, was a serve and volleyer. So it was easy for players to hit a serve, move in, put the ball away, right? Because the rackets are smaller, the ball skids, it stays low. A one-handed backhand is kind of easier when you have those conditions. You've got a low bouncing ball. It's easier to come up the back of the ball, roll it over the net. You don't have to worry about, hitting those really high balls that we have today. And it was just kind of a more natural shot, I think, for players from that time period. Now, when we move forward to the 1970s, we're going to see that Jimmy Connors and Chris Evert really revolutionized the popularity of this shot. If you go back to their time period of the 1970s, there were very, very few players at the top of the game that were playing with a two-handed backhand. But now, suddenly, they had access to all this additional power, and I think in a lot of senses, this was the introduction to modern-day tennis. And as the technology kept getting better, it became easier and easier for players to use a two-handed backhand. Now when we flash forward to the early 2000s, the strings changed. We went from poly strings to using multi-filament strings. So now we're dealing with players who can generate so much topspin on their shots that the ball is now coming up to above their shoulder level, where before it was more often, below the shoulder level, and sometimes they're dealing with balls that are more in their strike zone. Again, if we go back to the earlier part of the video, it's much easier to deal with a ball that's lower with a one-handed backhand than it is with a ball up here, especially if you're having to fight the spin off. So again, this would just favor players using a two-handed backhand. They're able to take that ball kind of closer to their body, and that's a lot easier to do than having to reach out and constantly hit the ball out here. So that would be another thing that would really favor players moving in this direction of playing with a two-handed backhand. Do I think that we will see the one-handed backhand make a resurgence? Personally, I don't, although I'm not 100% confident in making that statement, because you never know with the future of the game. It might change the rules at some point. And also, if you have a really tall player like Stefanos Tsitsipas, who's like 6'5" or 6'6", it's a lot easier for a player like that to actually use a one-handed backhand, because for one thing, he's got a massive serve. He tends to come in a lot, and a higher ball for someone like myself that's barely 6 feet tall is not going to be as high for him, right? It's going to be considerably lower. So if you look at a tall player, they could probably get away with that. But I think in general, for players that are like more average height, and certainly smaller players, they're not going to be using a one-handed backhand. You're going to see those players using a two-handed backhand. And as long as the rallies are long, like we're seeing 5, 7, 10, 15 shots in a row, you're not really going to see a lot of one-handed backhands, because to be honest about it, it's easier to mistime a one-handed backhand than it is a two-handed backhand when you're taking the ball, again, a lot closer to your body, and it's just easier to be more consistent with that shot. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts. I would love to hear from you. Please let me know in the comment section down below whether or not you think the one-handed backhand will make a resurgence at some point in the future. And thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you at the next one.